Welcome back, hockey fans, to Off the Iron. It's the Goodwin boys, Adam
and Evan,
back at it with another episode of Off the Iron. Lots to get to in this one. Flames back after their 5-day break. Big trades, big resignations. But before all that, just a quick reminder that Off the Iron is brought to you by Rocky Mountain Barbecue Catering. Come by their storefront, pick up yourself up a lunch combo with any one of their signature smoked meat, sausages, or burgers with 2 sides and a drink for just $12. Open 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on weekdays. Go visit them at 5303 68th Avenue, Southeast Calgary. Also, if you want to follow us on our social media outlets, on Facebook and Instagram, Off the Iron Podcast, on Twitter, at Off the Iron Pod, as well as on YouTube, Off the Iron Podcast, and our Gmail, offtheironpodcast@gmail.com. Woo!
Yeah, get at us on Twitter. Both Adam and I replied to the Off the Iron podcast account. We both were tweeting in the last Habs Flames game at the same time, which was kind of weird.
Yeah. both infuriated.
Both infuriated. Yep, we'll get to it, but... Welcome, hockey fans. It's Friday night here on Off the Iron, so we're going to start this one off with pouring ourselves a little beverage.
Yes.
Adam and I have enjoyed the hockey this week and are happy to bring you a little bit more hockey content. So,
exactly.
Cheers.
I got a little bit of head start on you. I've already poured a drink. I couldn't wait. I had to get some of this Crown Royal in me.
There you go. What are you drinking? Crown Royal and?
Coke. It's my staple drink.
The old Western Canadian rye and Coke, eh?
Yeah, I'm not man enough to drink the rye by itself.
Oh, come on.
I need a cutter. I need to cut it with something.
Oh, man.
And
Crown
Coke
Royal is so sweet too already, just by itself.
It's the perfect vehicle for the Crown Royal.
That's funny. I got myself a little Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, you're a big bourbon guy now, eh?
Oh, I love whiskey just in general. Doesn't matter what it is. Good whiskey, I should say, because there's a lot of bad whiskey out there too. That's not so nice to drink.
That was probably deepened by your little trip to Scotland. You learned a little bit more about the single malt whiskeys, and you could probably talk more about that. But
that was a trip of a lifetime for sure. The one thing I wanted to do was drive the Whiskey Trail, which is pretty windy road through the highlands of Scotland, and where all many distilleries are in the Speyside and Highland regions, and rented myself a little Ford Focus and got to speed around the windy curves of the Scottish Highlands. It was pretty awesome. And then as soon as I had my first distillery stop, the wife took over and drove the rest of the way so I could enjoy the whiskey. It was pretty fun.
Got a wee bit tipsy in old Scotland there.
Oh yeah, I think the one tour or the one lap around it, I did 5 or 6 distilleries, so it was pretty fun.
There you go. I definitely couldn't handle the straight whiskey. I just can't do it. The only alcohol I could pretty much drink straight is the old Pink Whitney there, because it's
the Whitneys.
Yeah, the mega sweet Whitneys, which I enjoy quite a bit.
For those of you who've never been over to the UK, though, go. It was awesome.
Definitely want to go at some point when all this COVID junk is over with.
That was obviously before COVID.
Yeah.
Should preface that. You got to do that these days.
What was that, 2018 you were there?
Yeah, or was it somewhere around there, yeah.
2018?
I don't remember.
Yeah. All righty.
Got to visit St. Andrews, too, which was really cool.
Oh, man, I want to play there.
Yeah, it was cool to see the old course there. I never had a chance to play it. I didn't realize you have to literally reserve a tee time there like 3 years in advance.
I could see it. I can see it. You get like the full setup though. I heard you get like the bag, the caddy, like everything.
So whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it looked pretty cool. You know, seeing all those brick buildings that you see on the final hole of the British Open tournaments and the stone bridge coming over the creek there on 18. It was awesome.
Definitely an old style course there. Yes, people come to listen to hockey, and not a ton of news in terms of quantity, but the news that did come this past week, huge, big trades.
Huge.
It's huge. Okay.
It's huge.
Big trades, big games for the Flames in particular, and a couple big sort of puzzling topics. One being Jim Rutherford. We'll get to him later in the show, but we should start off with the huge bomb that dropped pretty much the day after we recorded last episode. We should preface this by saying we're recording on January 29th at 9:58 p.m. A little bit late, a little bit of a late show, but it is Friday night after all. Yeah, I think it was about a week ago, Friday, the Pierre-Luc Dubois Patrick Liane trade goes down. After
who could have saw those two players getting traded?
Yeah, we had heard rumblings about the Liane stuff, but the way he started the season, obviously he got injured in the first game, but like the first game against the Flames, he was dynamite. He had 3 points, 2 goals, including the OT winner. I thought, maybe with Stastny back, he'd be a little bit happier, but finds himself out of Winnipeg and in Columbus, and Dubois takes his spot in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm glad we can move on from it now, because the Dubois thing was taking over everything in the NHL, just with the quote unquote shift that he had. Adam and I just watched it before the podcast here, and man, you could tell like he was done.
Checked out.
Totally checked out. And to be honest, not a good look for him. He's going to have some image damage control to do too, because you can't just quit on your team like that. You and I talked before this, but just for our listeners, I'm totally on the side of Tortorella. I think he absolutely should have been parked on the pine and probably scratched until he was traded. So it might have been Pierre-Luc Dubois trying to force their hand and make the deal. But still, like you don't do that.
No, I think the word that comes to mind when you see that, like you've seen guys like coast around, and sometimes it looks like they're lacking energy, but that to me, like one word that comes to mind is unprofessional.
Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, you're still getting paid to play the game, and you need to
$5 million. Yeah,
even if you're not happy with your situation, which is, regardless of money, is still a thing for players. They just sometimes the fit with the city, the team just doesn't feel right. And, money aside, you just want a different look, but definitely not the way to go about it if you're Pierre-Luc Dubois. I think the only way that he's going to sort of get past this bad look that he has here is that, just comes in and lights it up in Winnipeg, which I have full confidence that he will. He's shown that he's a top line guy, especially in the playoffs. We should break down the whole deal here. So
sorry, we got right into it.
we started talking about the shift, the infamous shift that was just
the infamous shift. Yeah,
it was funny but tough to watch at the same time.
Oh man, it was bad.
Going to Winnipeg is Pierre-Luc Dubois and a 3rd round pick. Just bringing it up here. It was a 2022 3rd round pick from Columbus, going to Winnipeg, and in exchange for Jack Roslovic, who is unsigned, but I believe he signed a contract right after, and then Patrick Laine, blockbuster, 2 guys who were selected 2nd and 3rd overall respectively in the 2016 NHL draft. What are your overall thoughts on the deal? You got any opinions that you'd like to get out there?
Well, first of all, Roslovic signed a 2-year, $1.9 AAV contract. Columbus kid seems like a pretty good fit there. I think Columbus had their eyes on him, but obviously wanted Liane as well with a package for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Anytime you're trading away your franchise number 1 center, one of your top draft picks from a few years ago, that's, pretty damn good player, still very impactful, even though he did quit on the team. It's going to be, you want to get a fair return. Like it's a franchise move.
Exactly.
I like it. I think it's a hockey deal. I think definitely glad to see a 3rd round pick going back Winnipeg's way with that. I think it would have been a little lopsided for Liane and Roslovic just for Dubois, but who knows what they turn that asset into. But I like it for both teams. I mean, can you think of a deeper center ice than the Jets right now? Dubois, Scheifele, Lowry, Wheeler when he plays center sometimes, Stastny. Like that's got to be one of the best center ice roster in the NHL right now. I don't think I could put my finger on anyone who's deeper at the center ice position than the Jets right now.
No, it's hard to argue with that. And I like this trade a little bit more for Columbus, I guess, just a little bit, just because they are getting the two NHL guys. Roslovic obviously being from Columbus, you mentioned. So it sounds like it's going to be a good fit there. They needed a center ice to replace Pierre-Luc Dubois. Obviously, the ceiling for Roslovic isn't as high as Dubois at this point. But the only question mark that I sort of had about this deal was how Dubois is going to fit in there. Like, obviously, he's going to be in the top 6 somewhere. But what does this do to Stastny now? Does he move to the wing on the second line? Does he drop down to third line center? So I think it kind of creates a little bit of a question mark there. And also,
options.
Yeah, exactly.
It's depth.
And the
if you have Stastny as your third line center, that's pretty fucking good.
the thing is, he's off to a hot start too. Like he's almost up around a point a game right now. So he's doing work for the Jets right now. So it'll be interesting to see if they move him out to the wing to put with Dubois on the second line, or if maybe he moves down to number 3 with like a Kopp and Lowry type of situation on the third. I'm sure that would do work too. But overall, like you said, hockey deal, 2 young studs, basically a 1-for-1, and
similar money.
Yeah, exactly. I think I saw in here Winnipeg actually saves $5,000 total, or Columbus saves $5,000.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's peanuts in the league.
Yeah, because Liane, well, obviously now that Jack Roslovic has signed, it's sort of the money is different, but 4.995 for Patrick Liane and $5 million even for Pierre-Luc Dubois. So pretty even money. Liane does have some salary retained in this deal, or I guess Winnipeg retains some salary, 1.755, which is about 26%. He's only signed till the end of this year, so that's not an issue going forward. But
yeah, they had to do that to make the money work, probably.
Yeah, and 2 guys that are on bridge deals, like I said, Liane done at the end of this year, Dubois done at the end of next season. So
that's why I like it a little more for the Jets, because who knows if Liane is going to stick around? He likely will. Or wait, no, he's an RFA. Never mind, he's an RFA. Yeah. Sorry, I thought he was going into UFA already.
And that's the other big question mark. Like Liane, does he seem like a Tortorella guy? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's one thing I did want to bring up about this trade too. It's like, as far as destinations where Liane wanted to end up, is Columbus worse than Winnipeg?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know some people point to the fact that they have a Finnish GM in Jarmo Kekalainen, but like, I don't know, what does that do for Patrick Liane at the end of the day? I mean, I'm sure they have a relationship. I think Kekalainen was on 31 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick earlier this week, and saying that they have a relationship going back. They tried to move up to number 2 to get him, but Winnipeg was obviously charging a arm and a leg, even though Columbus had the 3rd overall pick, so it would only be a flip-flop of 1 pick there, or 1 spot. But apparently this deal. Sorry,
who did the Jackets select after Liane was off the board?
Dubois.
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah. But apparently this deal was in the works for quite a while, all the way going back to the summer. Apparently, and
yeah, it was rumored that definitely was a destination for Liane was Columbus for sure.
And Kekalainen and the management staff in Columbus were emphatic on Roslovic being involved in the deal too. So I think the Jets kind of had this in their back pocket and were like trying to, maybe gauge the market for interest in Liane and see if they could get a better deal somewhere else. But hard to find one when you got a number 1 center coming back the other way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So I've heard rumors coming out of Winnipeg that, Wheeler and Scheifele were not a huge fan of Patrick Laine, because Laine is a different personality. He is a different guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I've heard that there was some Finnish media that released a couple stories out in Finland that off the ice, Scheifele and Wheeler made Laine's life, quote unquote, from what I read, a living hell.
Yeah.
So who knows what went on there? I like to think it probably went both ways, because you could just tell Liane was not happy in Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of one of those things. It's like we'll probably never know the full story until years later, because of course Wheeler came out and said, me and Mark are very demanding on the guys, but it never got bad. And we've always had, me and, Patrick Laine have always had a positive relationship, that kind of stuff. So, of course, he's going to say that to the media. Whether it's true or not remains to be seen. And I'm sure maybe the cat will get out of the bag at some point in the future, maybe 10 years down the road.
Yeah, who knows? That's all rumors, folks. That's nothing concrete. I read that on, I can't remember where it was. It was some hockey site somewhere. Obviously a Finnish one. But yeah, I mean, I like how Laine fits in with Columbus too. I mean, two depth pieces for them. Their forward ranks just got a lot deeper for sure. I don't really know how Laine is going to fit in with their style, because they're all grit, score by committee. Come at you with four lines. I mean, obviously
defense
Laine,
first.
Defense, yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at. Defense first. Obviously, Laine will be a huge threat on their power play if he slots in there. I mean, he'll have to earn it with Tortorella for sure. It's not just going to get handed to him. And yeah, I'll be interested to see, because I mean, they picked up Domi in the offseason. I'm just looking at their cap friendly here: Atkinson, Foligno, Domi, Jenner, Riley Nash, Bjorkstrand, Roslovic, Laine.
And they found this a young center too, Alexander Texier. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's French, so it's probably Alexandre Texier, I would say. I don't know how you say it, but maybe that was sort of allowed them to maybe digest it a bit more to get rid of Dubois, because he plays center. He's second on the team in points this season, 6 points in 9 games behind Bjorkstrand here. But
that's not bad.
Yeah, and he scored a disgusting goal in the shootout last night. Did you see that?
No.
He basically, it was almost kind of like the Nikita Kucherov no move goal.
Oh yeah, okay.
But he kind of just opened his blade. He came in, put it on his back end, opened his blade, and just pushed it with one hand through the 5-hole of I believe it was Lankinen for Chicago. Just didn't know what to do. But you'll have to look that one up and see it. But so I think they do get deeper with the addition of Laine and Roslovic. So be an interesting fit going forward. That's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing for Laine and the Blue Jackets is, how do you re-sign them? You got a lot of players to re-sign. You got your captain to re-sign next year. You got Riley Nash to re-sign. Koivu, they probably won't re-sign. This will probably be his last year. But you got on the back end David Savard to re-sign, and both your goalies are all UFA. So, no, that was wrong. That's next year. Both their goalies are all UFA. So,
okay,
they'll probably, they're gonna have some work to do in the offseason for sure. Just because, I mean, if Laine has a pretty decent year, he's going to command. I mean, he was on a $7 million contract as a bridge deal. So now it's COVID time, so who knows where the market's at right now. But who knows? It'll be interesting.
All right, that was the biggest piece of news that came out of the NHL since we last recorded. But seeing as how we are a Flames first podcast, we should dive into the Flames focus. We just wanted to get that one out of the way because obviously it was the oldest piece of news coming out the day after we recorded last. So wanted to
how often do you get to talk about a trade with two superstars going?
Exactly. Two young guys too.
Young guys too.
23
number
or
2 and number 3 overall. I mean, it's all the storylines are there.
Exactly.
One thing to finish off the trade, neither player has actually played a game for the other team because they both have to clear COVID protocols because they switch countries.
And Liane, I believe he might be injured still too. So we'll see if that if he recovers in the next couple of weeks here. I assume so. It's already been a week. I think probably the soonest we'll see Dubois in Winnipeg is probably like 4th or 5th of February, I imagine, because it's 29th right now, so that'll almost be another week. And tests and whatnot, I think they require 4 consecutive negative tests or something like that.
Yeah, I don't bother with the COVID protocols.
Yeah.
I've had an ass full of COVID, to be honest. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't really care.
All right, moving on to the Flames focus. Definitely a forgettable week for.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, I mean, after that 2-0-1 start, very promising, but 3 straight regulation losses, 2 of which were very, very frustrating. The first game against Toronto this past week, I thought they played good, just got unlucky. No bounces. They had 2 goals go in off their own defenseman, which has been like 6 or 7 of those already this year.
Yeah, and then they had one go off of Wayne Simmons putting it between his legs off his own skate in the net. So, I mean, one thing that needs to be stated, it is early still. The Flames are 2-3-1, so I don't think it's time to push the panic button by any means. That you can get into some of the stats you were talking about earlier that support that. I mean, it is unfortunate, but it is typical Flames hockey. And it pains me to say that because I am a massive Calgary Flames fan, as you guys can tell. But they are consistently inconsistent. Shocker.
Yeah,
I threw that question out on Twitter during the last game. What do you think is responsible for the Flames' inconsistency and their slow starts year after year, game after game, where they cannot put together a 60-minute effort, or they just don't show up for the first period? Curious to get your opinion. What do you think it is?
Well, I think the blunt truth is that it's the core. I mean, that's the only thing that's. I mean, I don't think it's all on Gio. Like, he seems like a good captain, and he's trying out there. Gio's hit a bit of a wall this year. Has not looked good, especially at 5-on-5. But it falls back to the core guys and the leadership group here. I don't think the inconsistency in my opinion, doesn't really fall on the coach. It's not the coach's job to get the players psyched to play. It's to prepare them to put them in the best situation, giving the scouting reports and goalie tendencies and putting them in the right line combinations to help them succeed. But at the end of the day,
I disagree with you a little bit on that.
But at the end of the day,
is a huge part of being a coach.
I mean, you do the whole rah thing, but at the end of the day, the players have to go out and play.
Yeah, they're accountable for sure. Like, the players are accountable for it. Yeah,
that's kind of my thing. So, like, I think it all falls back on the leadership group, and especially Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan. Like, you can tell they're trying, but do they hate to lose? I think that's the biggest problem with the Flames right now. Is I mean, it's the same thing we've been saying the past 4 seasons. Are there enough guys on this team that hate losing? It's one thing to like winning, but do you hate, does it rip you apart to lose?
There's one person on the team that hates losing.
Does it rhyme
and shows
with?
It.
Yeah. Did he show it the past couple games? Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think it's all coaching, although I have not been a fan of some of the decisions Jeff has made this year already. That fourth line is god awful right now. They have to do something with that. They are just throwing away chances left, right, and center. And it pains me to say that because Lucic has 2 goals, so he's contributing. He ain't going to come out of the lineup as long as he's scoring goals, unfortunately. But he's been awful. I think there are lots of depth guys, young guys. Godin, any of those guys could be a better fit on that fourth line than Lucic, but they need Lucic in there for his presence in case someone takes a run at Gaudreau or something like that. That's why he's there. So he's not going down. He's getting paid too much money. But
Mhm.
anyways, I have not been a fan of the fourth line at all. They have caused a lot of the goals against, and they have taken a shit ton of penalties, which is
Yeah,
not
the
good
penalty kill is a big issue too.
because the Flames penalty kill has not been good. But back to the consistently inconsistent comment. I don't think it's coaching because they've been through 3 or 4 coaches and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's the core, and one specific thing in the core that in my opinion, I think it is. There's a lack of personal accountability on the Flames. When someone shits the bed, coughs it up, causes a game-winning goal, takes a penalty. I mean, I'm not in the dressing room. I can't tell what they do in the dressing room, but there is not enough. What the fuck are you doing? Holding people accountable for bad play. It's, oh, don't worry about it. Get in there next time. Go get them.
Yeah, it's almost like the kid glove treatment, and that was kind of like a trait that Glenn Gulletson had. I mean, we saw the fiery moments, the throwing the stick into the stands and stuff, but sometimes maybe not enough tough love.
And that is your leadership's job, is to hold your teammates accountable for shitty play, and it doesn't happen on the Flames, I don't think, because the same shitty play keeps happening over and over and over again. I don't think it's Gaudreau. I mean, Gaudreau hates to lose. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he hates to lose. He's not really a super emotional guy, so you're not going to see major outbursts like Kachuk. And I think that's the same for Gio. I don't think anyone likes losing, but do they hate it? I see your point there. I don't know if you saw. I don't think Johnny's committed to the team very well anymore. They were on the prowl the first Maple Leafs game to come back. They were down by a goal. They got an offensive zone face-off, and they switched lines. And Jeff Ward put the fourth line out with like 4 minutes to go. And you could just see Johnny was skating back to the bench, and he's fucking shaking his head. Like, what are you putting the fourth line out with 4 minutes to go on an offensive zone face-off?
Especially when Gaudreau and Monahan have been your most productive forwards to date. I mean, even like the past couple of days, like we rave about Mangiapane all the time. Even he hasn't looked that good
the greatest.
in the past couple of games. And, you know, obviously we're missing Dubois right now. How important does he look right now? Because ever since he's gone down, they've looked rather lifeless. Except for that first game against Toronto. I said at the top of the topic here, but I thought they got unlucky or a little bit unfortunate in that game with the bounces. But it's just so frustrating to watch, especially that game in Montreal. Like I mean, you probably saw the tweet if you're listening to the show and follow us on Twitter. After that shorthanded breakaway that Toffoli scored, not only did he score, but he sort of fumbled it, and then it was a bad goal on Ritter too. But at the end of the day, it was a shorthanded breakaway, so it's like, you know, he could have done better, but when he gets put in that situation by the team, you know, a little bit of a dog back check there. You know, it was, you know.
Oh, there was no effort at all in that Montreal game from Calgary.
Yeah.
I mean, once they got behind from those 2 power play goals in the first period, I mean, honestly, the first one, you could just tell there was no jump in their game. They were controlling the play 5-on-5 in that game in the first period. And they were down 2-0. You could tell they didn't want to try anymore. I honestly, I turned it off. I'm sad to admit it because I do not like doing that. I turned it off after the second period. You're down 3-0, putting in no effort against the Canadians and Carey Price. You're not going to win.
Yeah, there was no jump, no energy in that, especially in the second period. I thought like their first 5 to 7 minutes weren't bad, but Brendan and then Gallagher scores on the power play. And then they get a tough bounce off another power play.
Gio lets him walk right in front of the net, barely even touches him.
Yeah. And then another tough bounce off Valimaki, who he's kind of fighting it right now. And I know they're talking about it on the morning show, the Boomer in the Morning.
He's been awful the last couple games.
Might be time for him to take a seat for one game. You know, doesn't mean anything long term that he's going to be a horrible player, but we saw even with somebody like Goudreau in his rookie year, he got that, healthy scratch treatment, and then he came back even better from it. So might be time. And we know that they have some defensive depth in Shillington, Connor Mackey. They're very high on. Tree Living said that he would play at some point this year, or they see that in him. Michael Stone,
Yeah.
hopefully he's number 9, 10 on the depth chart, but it might be time for Valimaki to take a seat for a game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I don't think it's all his fault though, because his D partner Nesterov has fallen off a cliff too. I don't know what the hell he was doing those 2 games versus Toronto. He was pinching and leaving holes. Like, the Flames' defensive coverage looked like a piece of Swiss cheese. It was brutal. There was so many holes all over the place. People were getting open when they shouldn't be open. Even Backlund was missing people. Like, he was responsible for the second game versus Toronto, not picking up 2 guys, which led to 2 of the goals from Toronto. He just, I don't know, he was off that game, which you never see from Backlund. He's usually steady Eddie defensively. I mean, that's why he's on the team, because it ain't for his goal scoring prowess, although he has shown flashes of that in the last couple of years, which has been nice. But it's just poor effort. Same thing. Poor defensive zone coverage that's hurt them. I agree. I think Valimaki probably needs to take a seat and let Shillington come up or Mackey come up, whoever they decide. They're both on the taxi squad, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one other thing, I think the reason why we're seeing so many pinches and so many of them turn out bad, like especially the 2 Nesterov ones that come to mind, and a couple Anderson ones as well. When you spot the other team 2 goals early, you kind of have to take those risks, but you have to be smart, still have to be smart with those risks. And they're just not doing it in the smart spots for me, especially the Nesterov ones, just leaving his blue line. And like one of the goals against Toronto, it just a 2-on-1 kind of came out of nowhere. Like he pinches at his own blue line to go like up towards like deeper into the neutral zone. And then all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1 and Travis Boyd buries it over Markstrom. So tough on that one.
Yeah. I mean, we're dogging on them a little bit because they deserve it.
But... And at the end of the day, it's 6 games. They have games in hand on almost everyone in the division. So it's not, as we said, it's not full blown panic, but it's
not the trend you like to see.
Yeah. When it's 3 games in a 56 game season, kind of feels like a 5 or a 6 gamer in a regular season. So, it's, maybe it's a little bit too early to say this, but this next one against Montreal might be a must win. Like just to get back on track.
There's 6 games in, right? This will be their 7th. There's only 56 games. Yeah. They're almost a fifth of the way through the season already. So there's no time for these streaks. Yeah, you can lose 1. Yeah, you can lose 2. Okay. But you stretch it out to 3, 4, potentially 5 games. That's 10 points. That's that's a huge amount in a 56 game season. And they're already getting left behind. Like Toronto and Montreal are, I mean, Montreal hasn't even lost yet this year. They're 5 wins, 2 overtime losses. So
yeah.
I mean, you can't do it. You're going to get left behind.
Yeah, it feels like a must win as strange as it sounds. 7 games into the season, or it will be the 7th game of the season. But
so to flip the script, let's talk about some positive things about the Flames. I got a few.
Okay,
their goaltending has been great. Markstrom did struggle, or I wouldn't say struggle. He didn't have as good a game his last game versus the Leafs, but the Flames have not got any puck luck. They have not got any bounces. It's been the worst string of puck luck I've seen in a long time. Most of Markstrom's goals against were bouncing off our defensemen's backsides or their sticks or their skates or whatever.
I think the Flames have scored more goals against themselves than the opposition has.
So positive there. I think our goaltending is fine. I didn't mind David Riddick's game. I don't think he had a lot of chance on a lot of those, like the Gallagher goal in Montreal. That's going to go in on any goalie because he's wide open in front of the net on a power play.
Then the Shea Weber one-timer.
Shea Weber one-timer. How do you off your defenseman's stick? How do you dog him on that one? Could have had the Toffoli one. I'll give you that. Yeah. But still, I thought he was solid. I mean, he made 20-some saves. Mm-hmm. But our goaltending is good. Mm-hmm. Tanev and Hanifin have risen to, I would say, our number one D pair right now. And
they've looked the best so far.
Yeah. Starting the season, I never would have thought that. They look really good. The numbers, the analytics back that up. Unfortunately, Gio Anderson pair has not looked good, but he's been dragged down. Anderson's been dragged down by Gio, unfortunately. Gio looks awful. I'm not gonna lie.
He looks like he's just fallen off a cliff. I don't know.
It might be a rough, and we got him for one more year after this, and it might be a rough year last year or next year. But so the Hanifin Tanev pairing, and to be honest, I'm going to give Monahan and Gaudreau some credit. I think they've had a pretty decent good start. Both of them, like Monahan looks engaged. He's getting in those puck battles. Whereas in the playoffs, he was a ghost, never engaged at all, hardly. Yeah. I mean, Gaudreau's on pace. Like, he's got, I think, 3 or 4 goals already. I don't know the exact total in front of me here, but they look good. They're hungry. They're controlling play. That, when they're on the ice, the play's going in the right direction for the most part. I actually saw Gaudreau do several high intensity back checks too, which I never see from Johnny Gaudreau. And he's still a chicken shit to get anywhere around the boards, but there's a little bit more jam in his game this year. I'll give him credit. So I think that's positive going forward. But you wanted to talk about some of the analytics on the Flames, and they paint a different picture from what their record says.
Yeah, so you mentioned that the Flames have been getting bad puck luck, and sort of the numbers would be backing that up. Kent Wilson, who's great writer for the Flames, very analytics driven. So he says here, lots of Calgary fans panicking over the 3-game losing streak, which is true. I don't know if you've seen Twitter the past 2 days or 3 days, but it's frustrating for sure. But the team is 3rd in possession, 8th in expected goals so far. They're shooting just 6.3 at even strength, which is the 7th worst in the NHL. At over the course of a season, that should even out. So I think there's some positive signs. Hopefully, when Dubois gets back in the lineup, power play looks
in the league, 32%.
Yeah, they've been good. So I think as far as if they get Dubois back, hopefully tomorrow against Montreal, although I don't know if he's been practicing, doesn't sound like it, but that would just allow everyone to sort of get back into their slots and get back to the lines that they were playing when they were successful. So getting Dubois with that Tkachuk and Lindholm and Simone, I think his first couple of games were good. Last few games have not been good for him.
Yeah, he hasn't looked good.
Playing on the top line with Monahan and Gaudreau, and we've seen Levo at stretches there. But it's been a tough go for those two in particular. But when Dubois gets back, hopefully that settles down that Tkachuk, Lindholm, Dubois line, and sort of the other lines will fall into place. And because I think that'll also push Nordstrom out of the lineup, and Nordstrom and Lucic, not a good combo. Yeah. when those two guys are on the ice at the same time, absolute black hole.
Yeah, I agree. The fourth line has been awful.
Just getting caved in. So anything that keeps those two in particular, especially on the same line, I'm all for. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of all I have for the Flames right now.
Yeah, I mean, stay positive.
Yeah.
When you think about it, 2 60-minute efforts against both the Maple Leafs games, those are 2 wins. Mm-hmm. So I know it's cliche to look back and say that, but
yeah,
the numbers are telling a different story. I think with a little puck luck or some just even puck luck,
yeah,
I think we're having a few more wins in the win column. So I'll be. So the team had a players only meeting after last game. So I'll see, or I'm curious to see how they respond to that. I think it'll be a different story in Montreal just with Markstrom in net too. I'm hoping they're going to start Markstrom.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully they can get back to 500 and right the ship.
Yeah.
And good news, to make the playoffs, they only have to be better than 3 Canadian teams. So
one of which being Ottawa.
Ottawa and Vancouver. So and the Oilers aren't looking the greatest either, and neither are the Flames. So it's there's brighter days ahead, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Don't hit the panic button. We've only lost 3.
Basically, like if you want to really simplify it, just be better than Vancouver and Edmonton, because obviously Ottawa, they've hit it like, we at the beginning of the year. I guess we'll just kind of move into a little bit of our roundup of the North Division here. But at the beginning of the year, we both said like, yeah, obviously Ottawa is going to finish 7th, but they're going to give some teams some fits. They did not give the Vancouver Canucks any fits.
Oh no, they did not.
They got outscored 16-3 in the total of the 3 games. So if you're the Flames,
how's Matt Murray looking?
Yeah, dude. Here's a little fact for people who don't know. He's getting paid more than Jacob Markstrom right now. And
really?
Yep, 6.25 for the next 4 years.
Oh wow!
So
Peter Doran makes hockey decisions.
I mean, I was heavily critical of that trade. Was he a good bounce back candidate? Maybe he can bounce back, and obviously he's playing in front of Ottawa, which is not a help to his stats either. But definitely got to be better overall. But so if you're the Flames, you got to make up some ground when you play Vancouver and Edmonton. And obviously we've already taken 2 games from Vancouver, so that's good in that sense. But Toronto and Montreal in particular look like they're going to be the cream of the crop here in the North Division.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the Flames do. I still think they're going to be up there when the season's over. At least I'm optimistic. They'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. Positivity. That's my new motto. I don't want to be so negative. It's too early in the year to be negative.
And going back to our preseason predictions, I might be taking an L on a lot of my predictions.
We're going to go division by division and just see how our predictions are going?
Yeah, well, you know how I said I was concerned Montreal wouldn't all gel. It was a lot of change. They're gelling.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
Yeah, they're gelling so much they should be in a Dr. Scholl's commercial. And because
you gel?
Yeah, they look like the best team so far. Anderson and Toffoli in particular. I think Toffoli's leading them in scoring right now. But
yeah, they're getting contributions from all over their lineup. I mean, Robinoff, Weber's going, Gallagher's going, Corey Perry's going for the 2 games that he's been in. He's got 2 points. Yeah. The Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, I can never pronounce that guy's name.
No, you got it. Did
I? Okay, good. Yeah. They're getting contributions from everybody, and that's the recipe for success. A lot of people were very critical of Bergevin in the offseason, but it is looking like he might have pulled a rabbit out of his ass here.
Yeah, the Anderson gamble is paying off right now. He's so far great. And we knew he was capable of this. It was just that injury.
Good player. Man, he would look good with the Flames uniform.
Oh, it's the story of the Flames' life.
He plays Flames hockey too.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride in terms of trades.
Unfortunately,
we were in the Dubois sweepstakes too, apparently. But obviously, when we can't offer up anyone that's like Patrick Laine, unless it's Johnny Gaudreau, which. Not the same players at all, but that's the type of star power you're looking to deal for Dubois. But anyway, that's neither here nor there because it came to fruition. He's in Winnipeg now. So,
yeah.
But speaking of Winnipeg, they've looked good even without Liane in the lineup. They're sitting 3rd in the division right now, and and they look like they're poised to do some damage. So if I was a betting man, I'd say that the top three are going to remain the top three right now till the end of the season, and it's going to be a 4-team race for that 4th spot. Well, 3 teams because one of them's not Ottawa.
Yeah. So do you have our predictions on screen here? Let's recap and see how badly we predicted. Never wager money, folks, on the OTI predictions. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. If you're gonna bet money, I would stick to fantasy, focused podcasts.
You got better odds of buying Tootsie Roll stock like all those young kids are doing nowadays on the stock market, or AMC or GameStop or Blockbuster, or
as Drake and Future say, what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. It's a weird time to be alive. People are going crazy.
Exactly. So I brought it up here. Where are our predictions? I have it here. Okay. So I had Winnipeg 6th, Montreal 5th in the division. So that's not going very well right now. And you had Vancouver 6th. So that's looking good right now. Winnipeg 5th, Montreal 4th. And then Edmonton, Calgary 2 and 3. So yours are closer than mine.
Yeah, it's early still though. Let's see how it shakes down. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be lots of stuff going on. Yeah. I didn't see Vancouver being this bad, to be honest. Pettersson has really struggled. When I say this bad, they're 5-5, so they're not crazy bad by any means. But I didn't predict them to be as low as they are with the struggles. Pettersson and Hughes hasn't looked as good this year yet either. So, but they're missing Markstrom for sure in Vancouver. I think some of the holes that Markstrom plugged for them in the past 2 years are now exposed because they're not getting the same quality goaltending from Demko as they did in the playoffs. Although he's a young kid, it'll come around.
Yeah, and that's
Holtby's. Yeah, he's been okay, but
and with Quinn Hughes there, I think like he's been good offensively still, but I think not having Markstrom behind him has really hurt his defensive game because he's still putting up points, but obviously on ice for a lot of goals too. But Pettersson caught a little bit of a heater here at the end with Ottawa. I think he's up to 3 goals now, and he's gotten some points. But again, it is Ottawa. Can he carry?
Damn it, Ottawa!
Yeah, Ottawa seems to be the tonic for every struggling team right now. And just have Ottawa come to your barn and play 3 games in a row and get back on track. But we should beat up on Ottawa too much. We knew it was going to be a painful season.
All right, that pretty much wraps up North Division talk. I'm liking the all-Canadian matchup so far, though. I have a feeling it's going to get a little old, halfway through, but we'll see. Do you want to run down our predictions in the other divisions and see how we're doing, or save that for next episode?
Well, I'll just take a quick L on some of them. Dallas looks really good. They look really good. Yeah, I know you had them.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but
you had them making the playoffs. I had them just missing. I had Nashville over them, and then another one, Boston. When I made that prediction, I was under the assumption that Brad Marchand was missing time as well as David Pastrnak, but he was in right from the get-go, and they've been really good. And now they're going to get Pastrnak back in the next week here, so. Looks like I'll be taking an L on that one.
Just saying, I've got all 4 teams right in the Mass Mutual East Division.
Well, la-dee-da. But not going well. But lots of time to go still.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting for me is the Discover Central. I mean, Tampa Bay in 5th, although they've only played 5 games because of COVID stuff.
Yes.
But Carolina in 7th, no one saw that coming. They've only played 4 games too, so
they're also going through COVID stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. Nashville's looked a lot better than I thought they were. I had them 5th, I think, in my predictions for the Central.
You had them 5th.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think we're all. There's a few shockers, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Minnesota in third in the West Division is interesting as well.
Kaprizov.
Yeah, they looked pretty
That's
good.
one I didn't take an L on.
Nope. I think we both predicted, well, at least the top 4 teams in the West Division. I think I predicted. We both tossed up Vegas and Colorado 1-2 in that division. So that looks to be the way that it's going to shake down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a quick recap. Adam tweeted out, so if you want to see our predictions, look at our past tweets.
Yeah, and head over to @offtheironpod on Twitter.
Exactly. We'll be posting a little bit more content there in the coming days as well.
All right. Shall we move on to probably the second biggest piece of individual news in the NHL this past week? A resignation out of nowhere. Jim Rutherford resigns as Penguins GM. Lots of rumors about why he left. I think a lot of people were concerned that maybe it was health related. Maybe he got some bad news in terms of personal health or something. But that's not the case. Apparently, it was a difference in philosophy going forward for the team. We know Jim Rutherford likes to wheel and deal. I mean, I don't think anyone loves a trade more than Jim Rutherford, as I'm sure Penguins fans can attest to. But he resigned as the GM. Apparently, I think it was Elliot Freeman said that maybe he was shopping Letang and ownership wasn't too happy about that. And as soon as you get, Rutherford kind of seems one of those guys, like as soon as he loses any authority or doesn't get full say in decisions, I think that kind of sticks in his craw a little bit. Kind of seems like that guy.
I mean, his trade record has not been stellar. Let's just say that. But he does have the two, I wouldn't call them the best players in the league anymore, but 2 of the top probably 5, 10, maybe if you stretch it out, players in the league for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you go for it.
Yeah.
You go for it every year. It's going to be and maybe people in Pittsburgh management are starting to sense that, hey, maybe that's not the strategy anymore. Maybe it's we got to start stocking the cupboards a little bit for this team. So I can see the whole difference in philosophy thing. I really can.
And speaking of the cupboards, they are bare and dry in Pittsburgh. Jim Rutherford was notorious over the past few seasons of top prospects, first round picks, second round picks, you name it. You get a first round pick, you get a first round pick, and that type of wheeling and dealing. So, but don't blame them, I guess, because you do have Crosby and Malkin, and as long as you have those 2 guys, you have to go for it. But
interesting. I just was looking at his trade history here. There are a lot of what the hell trades. This one in particular sticks out to me. Phil Kessel for Galchenyuk.
Ooh, that was a straight 1-for-1.
Well, no, there's a few other parts.
Okay.
Well, that makes it even worse for Pittsburgh, to be honest. It was Kessel, Dane Burks, who was an AHLer, I don't know who it is, and a 4th round pick for Galchenyuk, and an AHLer going the other way.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh man, and now Galchenyuk, I think he went to Minnesota and now he's in Ottawa.
Yeah.
After that, oof, that's a big time oof there.
So it's it's understandable. He does. I mean, he's always wheeling and dealing, like you said.
Yeah. And the Jack Johnson signing, guy in his early 30s who's clearly a bottom pairing defenseman at best, gives him a 5-year deal. I think that's since been bought out, and he's in. I think he might be in. Is he back with the Rangers now? I thought. I shouldn't really say that because
Jack Johnson. Oh, yeah, he did sign with some. Yeah, he is at the Rangers. Yeah, for $1.5 million.
Yeah, so I mean, took a big time L on that one. So he's definitely one of those GMs who's made some questionable decisions, but never a dull moment as Penguins GM with that guy running the operation. But
have they named his successor?
I think I have to bring up the name. He's the first Swedish GM. I'm not sure if it's an interim title right now, but Patrick. I should have looked this up prior. We're real professionals here, but
okay.
Yeah, I can't find his name right now, but yeah.
Just looking at the draft for 2021 coming up for Pittsburgh. No first round, no third round, no fourth round, no sixth round. They got second and fifth, but Rutherford would have traded that at the trade deadline to get somebody.
Exactly. He's never afraid of a deal, and I think a lot of GMs would echo that. He's probably one of the busiest one, always on the phone. But just trying to find it here. Scanning. I can't seem to find it, of course, when I need it. But first Swedish GM or acting GM, Patrick something. I know it's that. Patrick Alvin, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, big news in Pittsburgh, and kind of came as a shock to a lot of people, as it should. But yeah, that was the second biggest piece of news. Anything else on that one that you want to?
No, I think it's time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be likely entering a rebuild in Pittsburgh in the next 2-3 seasons. So yeah, I think it's time.
Okay.
Get some fresh ideas in there, and hopefully Pittsburgh can stay competitive, because Crosby's getting old, so still a very effective player, but you know what I mean.
And I do have it here. Patrick Alvin. It is Alvin or Alvin, and he is interim GM. So we've heard some names, a couple blasts from the past on the list of candidates. Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah, I knew you were
he was at the bottom. He's not going to get it. John Ferguson Jr. as well was on there, but I think they'll go for someone a bit fresher. They do have a little bit of a history with Jason Botterill, who's now unemployed. Ron Hextall is unemployed at the moment. If I was Pittsburgh, I'd go after Hextall. I know there's a lot of history there because he is a Philadelphia Flyer.
Yeah, that was sticking in the craw of a lot of Philly guys.
Was the GM of Philly, and I truly believe that, like, Ron Hextall, like, I think the Philadelphia Flyers did him kind of dirty. Like, he was, staunch in his belief that they need to continue the rebuild, build through the drafts, and you're now kind of seeing the sort of the fruits of his labor, in my opinion. All those defensemen, a lot of the core is there because of Hextall.
Carter Hart.
Yeah, and now, Carter Hart. Wow, that was awful. And now he's not there to sort of see it through, and ownership there was more focused on trying to accelerate the rebuild and make the playoffs, and Hextall was sort of, like, no, let's just take it slow and we'll be good for a long time. And now it looks like they're poised to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So that wraps up the second biggest news. Shall we move on to the Lafreniere? We just wanted to touch on this real quick. Finally gets on the board. It's been a bit of a rough go for Alexis Lafreniere in his NHL career so far, but finally gets on the board with the OT winner against the Sabres last night. And you could see, I mean, he didn't do the motion, but he might as well have taken the monkey off his back and threw it into the crowd, or the empty seats, as I should say.
I haven't been following the Rangers. They've been struggling a little bit. How has he looked? Is he in the play? Is he involved? Is he getting chances? Or
I think he's been okay. I don't think he's been what you'd expect from the type of hype that he was getting. Obviously, we saw him dominate the World Juniors, not this past one, but the last one. And when you're the first overall pick, you're expected to, and you're on the roster, you're expected to, sort of produce right away. But I think the move to the top line has helped, and looks like maybe this is the classic breaking the dam moment. He finally gets the first one. Maybe the floodgates will open, as they say.
Yeah.
So Lafreniere finally on the board. And also with the Rangers, a little bit of interesting situation. Looks like Tony DeAngelo has sort of fallen out of favor there. We know he's a bit of a controversial character off.
Tony.
Tony. Hey, Tony.
Hey,
For all the Seinfeld fans out there, hopefully they get that reference. But he's sort of fallen out of favor there and been healthy scratched at points. And we know he's had his interesting moments off the ice with his political stances that he likes to take on Twitter and stuff like that. Obviously, he's allowed to have an opinion, but doesn't seem to be a real healthy marriage there between him and the head coach, Dan Quinn.
Well, didn't they just sign him long term?
I believe, he signed a bridge deal as an RFA, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it was
Well, if it's
long.
a bridge deal, then maybe it's not long term. But hold on, I got it right here. 1 second. Anthony DeAngelo. Oh, it's only 2 years, 4.8. Okay. RFA after that still too.
RFA, and just bringing up his stats here. He has played 5 games, but with him being an offensive defenseman, no points so far, -3. As I said, has been a healthy scratch for a couple games, I believe. So a bit of a tough situation for a guy who, put up tons of points last year. Maybe Adam Fox has sort of taken his role. Man, another L for the Flames there. He looks really good. And you can tell why the Flames didn't want to give him up, but obviously he wanted to be there. So that's the sort of situation with the Rangers. Anything else you want to add, or do you want to move on to the OTI top 5?
No, I think that was a pretty good summary. Let's move on to the top 5, our new segment that we're going to be pushing this season, quote unquote, season 3 of OTI, we're calling it. So in this episode, we put the blast things out on Twitter asking for topics and Instagram. Got a few back from folks, and what we're going to do is pick a category and then give you a top 5 list from me and from Adam. And hopefully once we get those lists blasted out on social media, we'll hear your guys' top 5 or top 3 picks or whatever. Chime in. Let us know. Let us know if we're out to lunch. Let us know if we're completely out to lunch, or let us know if you agree.
And also suggest some topics for us. Don't have to be hockey related.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. Top 5 anything.
Top 5 favorite foods, top 5 favorite movies all time, whatever you want. And we'll be sure
top 5
to break
rock
it down.
bands.
Exactly.
Top 5 boy bands of the 1990s. It could be anything.
Backstreet Boys #1. But today's topic, suggested by the one, the only, Oliver Pierce. Thank you for replying to our hashtag OTI top 5. Make sure if you are going to suggest a topic, use that hashtag OTI top 5 and keep an eye out for it on our Twitter feed. But today's topic, the top 5 biggest rats in the NHL, the current NHL landscape. Who are the top 5? Yeah, who are the top 5 rats in the NHL as we speak? Do you want to start with your number 5? Do you want to do like I do my 5, you do your 5, or do you want to go one by one, or what do you want to do here?
No, we'll go 5-5, 4-4, 3-3, all the way up.
Okay.
All right. With the inaugural entry on my top 5 lists, list of NHL current day pests, I have a forward that sticks in the craw of all Flames fans. From his long tenure with the Anaheim Ducks. And that is the center that haunted our nightmares for many, many playoff runs that he ended, but Corey Perry is number 5 on my list. Corey Perry, there's just something about him. He's a master chirper. can get under anybody's skin, and you'll notice a theme with my top 5 list, can still hurt you on the scoreboard. That to me makes a pest.
Especially
someone
in the
who can
playoffs.
someone who can get under your skin, cause a little havoc, throw his body weight around, and still score. So that's how I based my pick. But yeah, I don't think it needs any explanation. Corey Perry is a jerk to play against. Well, those guys that you'd love to have. He's one of those guys that you'd love to have on your team, but hate playing against him. So number 5 on my list, Corey Perry.
All right, I like it. Number 5 for me, maybe a bit off the board because maybe he's not fully established in this role, but he's definitely in this role and will only become more involved in this sort of stuff. So Brady Tkachuk of the Ottawa Senators. We've all seen his brother's antics, so we might be hearing from later in my list here. But Brady, just one of those guys. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest kid out there, but he has high hockey IQ, and he knows how to get under people's skin. You know, he very much takes after his brother in that role. Yeah. So Brady Tkachuk is my 5th pick. Evan, who's your number 4?
All right, number 4 on my OTI top 5 for Pest in the NHL current day is none other than the player who kicked off the scoring against Calgary last night. That is Brendan Gallagher. He is an excellent pest for all the reasons I just listed, but he's got an extra level. He is not afraid to take on anybody. Case in point, playoffs. Zdeno Chara. He's also one of the leaders of Montreal. He can put the team on his back. And he's just pure grit. The guy's pure grit, and he has some skill. I mean, you know, there's pictures of him all over the internet with spitting out blood and like cuts all over his face and all that kind of stuff. Missing teeth, exactly. And I mean, he personifies the Canadians on most nights. So number 4 on my list, Brendan Gallagher, also a master chirper.
Yes. He is, one word comes to mind, or I guess it's 2 words come to mind when you talk about Brendan Gallagher: compete level. He has it for days.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. You're not going to outcompete him.
Yeah, he doesn't cheat the game.
No.
Number 4 on my list, also a Brendan, but not Gallagher, because I totally forgot about Gallagher. He should have been number 5 on my list, but number 4. Maybe some of the Western Canadian peeps don't really follow this kid a lot, but he is a little ball of hate. He takes after his Papa Bear, who played in the NHL as well, and who also shares the last name of one of the all-time greats. Do you have any idea who I'm talking about?
I don't. I'm drawing a blank.
His father's name is Claude.
Oh, Brendan Lemieux.
Brendan Lemieux. This kid is a little ball of hate.
A little bit on the dirty side.
Yeah, a little bit on the dirty side. He's been suspended. He toes the line, but he does cross the line sometimes, whether it's late hits, whacks on the back of the leg. But he does compete. You got to give him that. Does have some skill too, but I think a lot of Rangers fans dig this Lemieux guy much more than they did his dad when he played for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, and the Avalanche.
All the playoff battles they had in the late 90s, early 2000s. So Brendan Lemieux is my number 4.
Good pick. I didn't even think about Brendan Lemieux. All right. Number 3 on my top 5 list for Pest's current day in the NHL. I'm going maybe a little bit off the board. This guy definitely borderlines on dirty a few times. He's been suspended more times than I can count. But he also fits all the other categories. Can hurt you on the scoreboard, carries the play, master chirper, throws his weight around, and gets under people's skin. I got number 3, Tom Wilson from the Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
He is one of the most effective pests out there because he can literally get an entire team to chase him around.
Yeah.
And he's an excellent player. Like he can still contribute offensively. He gets some power play time. Borderline dirt. Well, I shouldn't say border. He's a little dirty sometimes.
Yeah.
A few plays he's been suspended for were well warranted. He deserves all the suspensions he's had. He's cleaned it up a little bit. He hasn't really been talked a lot about in the last few seasons. But number 3 on my list, I think he's one of the best pests in the league today, Tom Wilson.
Yeah. And quite easy to be a pest when you're that big. He's got a football player build, man. Like
for sure.
6'5", 230, whatever he is, man. He's a tank. And I like that pick. So for through our number 5 to 3 picks here, we got 6 different players, which I wasn't expecting. But my number 3 pick is a little known guy by the name of Antoine Roussel. This guy, he's like pesky personified. He's just always in, face washes after whistles and always talking. He'll throw a little bit of a late hit, but not enough to get a penalty. But just likes to mix it up a little bit. Very physical, high compete level. Just an annoying player, kind of annoying.
Yeah.
He's like that gnat at a barbecue, like when you're trying to eat and it's just like flying around your ear. And you're just like, get away from me. He's just always around.
Yeah.
And he would be an absolute nightmare to play against, in my opinion. So Antoine Roussel, very overpaid right now. Thanks.
Yes.
Jim Benning.
Thanks, Benning.
So yeah, thanks for that one. But Antoine Roussel is my number 3.
I have Roussel on my honorable mention list for sure.
Ooh.
He's definitely on there.
Okay.
But number 2, I mean, I think both of us are going to be the same picks for 1 and 2, maybe in opposite order, depending on how you ranked them. But in my mind, there's a top tier to Pest in the NHL, and we're at it now. And there's 2 names that everybody knows.
Wait, hold on. Should we do these ones together? Like on 3, say their names?
Sure, let's go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Marchand and Tkachuk.
Marchand and Tkachuk,
yeah.
Who do you have number 1?
I have Tkachuk number 1.
I have Tkachuk number 1 too, just because he overshadows Marchand in the last couple seasons with all his antics. He's always being talked about. Might be because we're Canadian. He's on a Canadian team. He's on the Flames. We know all about him. But, I mean, he's always in the news. The Cassian thing, now this falling on Jack Campbell on purpose and injuring him, even though he could barely even skate for the last 5 minutes of the third period. Talk and the whole puck flip with Muzzin and smashing the door as he's walking out. There is nobody better in the game right now than getting under other team skins than Tkachuk.
Man, that little hissy fit that he threw was so awkward to watch because he tried to slam the door but it didn't close, and then he tried to push it close, and then he hit the water bottle holder and it wasn't coming off. And
you know what it reminded me of? Alan from Hangover. Shoot! And he's shoot, kicking the dust up and stuff like that.
Oh shoot! No, that's honestly, that's probably a pretty good comparison. But yeah, and I agree with you, Tkachuk. Marchand's kind of toned it down a little bit from his licking incidents, which were very heavily criticized as they should and publicized.
He still is one of the best at getting under people's skins.
Yeah, he's like the ultimate trash talker. Like, I don't know if you've seen these trash talk compilations on YouTube, but he's heavily involved in them. One of them in particular, I can't remember who he was chirping, but he's like, turn around. He was on the bench and he was talking to the other guy on the bench, and he's like, turn around, let me see your name. Who the fuck are you? Enjoy your 5 games, kid. You'll be back in the minors before you know it.
One thing I will say about Marchand, he's definitely the most offensively talented on the list for sure.
Oh yeah. Kind of flirting with 100 points over the last 3 seasons, in that mid to high 90s. So when you can combine that with a Pest mentality, you got yourself a pretty good player.
Yeah, definitely. The meme comes to mind where it's like, oh, NHL players translated into Disney characters, and it goes through all these,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
and then Marchand's Disney character is the rat for Ratatouille. Oh man,
Absolutely. I
that's
saw
so
that. Yeah. That
that
was the
makes me
first time
laugh.
I'd seen it the other day. I saw that and I had quite the chortle at that.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, this is a good topic. I like it. So
All
get
right.
at us for these OTI topics. It's going to be a good way to end the podcast this season.
Yes.
So
And thank you to my buddy Oliver Pierce at Hadnell Rock on Twitter. A little bit of a story behind that Twitter handle, but give him a follow and thank you for suggesting that topic. Much appreciated. And once again, in the future, use the hashtag OTI Top 5 for anything you want us to cover, and we'll give you our top 5.
yeah, just real quick, what were your audible mentions? Do you have any?
Well, now that I didn't really have one, but to be honest, like Perry, Gallagher were kind of, they'd probably be number 6 and 7 for me.
Yeah, I had Kadri, which none of us
Yeah.
talked about. I mean, he's pretty dirty. I mean, he gets
Yeah.
suspended in the playoffs pretty much every year since for the past 3 or 4 years. I had Radko Gudas on there, and I did have Roussel as my honorable mention too. So, yeah, no, fun list. I love those lists.
Yeah. I like this this new segment we got going on. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Looking forward to covering the topics that you guys suggest to us in the in future episodes. But I think with that, I think that puts a nice little bow on this episode. Any other things you want to get off your chest? Looking forward to in the next week?
I'm looking forward to some better hockey from Calgary this coming week. That's for sure.
Yeah, they got
But
one
no,
against Montreal tomorrow.
No, just enjoy the hockey action, folks, over the weekend. We get a lull from football this weekend in preparation
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl next weekend. So,
Ooh, Mahomes Brady though. This is gonna be
yeah,
sick.
it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I was hoping the Packers would squeak in there, but I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan myself, and I do like the Pack. So,
But Tom Brady, the GOAT.
yeah,
The GOAT. His horns are showing.
yeah, definitely. You can't deny it anymore. I mean, he's had more Super Bowl appearances than some teams have had in their entire existence. So a lot of teams actually. I mean, it's just crazy. So it's going to be a great game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. Looking forward to another episode with all you and all you listening. It's going to be, we're going to try and get one a week out to you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to recording this next week as well. But why don't we recap a few things and tell you who this is brought to you by, and let's get out of here.
All right. Yes. This is brought to you by Off the Iron's brought to you by Rocky Mountain Barbecue Catering. Visit their website at www.rockymountainbarbecue.ca to request free quotes for any events or to order online through the Chow Now app. Order on there, come by the storefront to pick it up.
Chow Now, I haven't heard of that one. That one's
Chow Now. Yeah, it's kind of like DoorDash, skip the dishes, all that stuff. Sort of the world we live in now. We want things most convenient and you know, whatever. But don't forget to follow us on our social media channels on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Off the Iron Podcast, on Twitter at Off the Iron Pod, and shoot us an email through offtheironpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for listening, everyone. Looking forward to the next episode and another great week of hockey. Thank you for listening. We appreciate every listen that we get, and time to say goodbye.
Yeah, just remember, just in the spirit of Bell Let's Talk Day, which was a couple days ago, keep your head up out there, folks. This COVID-19 thing is hopefully going to be over sooner rather than later. And if anybody needs to talk, get at us on Twitter.
DMs are open.
DMs are open.
Always open.
So shoot us a message. We can definitely get to talking on anything. If hockey's a distraction, by all means, we'll talk puck with anybody. So keep your head up and stay positive. With that, I think we'll cue the music. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a good week.
See you next time.